Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Paper Begone. Identity theft. Those are two of the scariest words in the English language these days, and you're hearing them more and more often. Don't fall victim to identity theft. Call Paper Begone to destroy and dispose of receipts, paperwork, confidential documents from your home or your office. If you're in a business, these are the folks to call. They can even destroy computer hard drives. And that's not easy to do, trust me. I've got so many bad computer hard drives. But, call Paper Begone. They'll take care of you. They can do it all. They can even, if you have a medical practice, they can even destroy x-rays. And they do it all eco-friendly. Paperbegone.com to learn more. It's the same great company that has brought you Junk Begone for years. I trust them. I trust these folks. Paper Begone, Junk Begone. Call them both this week. All right, let me show you the final poll results. Here's what you said, and I'm a little surprised. You continue to surprise me, folks. Worth every penny, 62% of you. And this is the highest vote total we've had in the entire year, by the way. Worth every penny, 62%. 26% of you, pretty good start. So 88% positive. 11% say, I'm not impressed yet. 1% says, not the guy, fire him. So there you go. There's your answers. Thanks for playing. And then here's what we got coming up starting next week. Basketball coverage. Some of you have been calling for it. Former Vol assistant Mark Pankratz, former Vol player Isaiah Victor. They're going to be with us all through basketball season. Mark's going to be in next week. But we're also, each week it's going to be starting with basketball and then ending with football. So basketball and football moving forward. We're year-round here for our 21st year, as a matter of fact. And then finally, let's crown our champions, because we got two of them. Mike Stoll and Josh Ward. Mike last week, Chuck did a great job splitting everybody. Mike last week took Vandy in the under. He was right on Vandy. Josh went the opposite, took UT in the over. He was right on the over. So Josh and Mike, you guys are the champions. I congratulate both of you. And let's see both of them, if we can. Get both. Yeah. How about a wide shot? That's what we need, the super wide. There we go, if we can get to it. Now, if you two will just wrestle for it. Good luck, Josh.
We're going to do an early Festivus feats of strength against each other. I'm also tagging in Daniel Hood. So.
He's ready.
What's the over-under? What's the Cavalier slide? It's prohibited.
All right, so it looks like right now Tennessee versus North Carolina in the Gator Bowl is what everyone's projecting. It's most of the projections. Is that what we're all hearing? Is that what everybody hears? Hearing anything different?
I'm not hearing anything different.
Yeah. So nobody's got it. So we're all thinking Tennessee versus Carolina in the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Is that December 31st?
I believe it's the 29th
on a Friday.
29th on a Friday. Okay, good deal. So our New Year's Eve show then will be a recap of that bowl game, which means our Christmas Eve show would be a preview of that game. So that will be the 24th and 31st we expect to be here. Let me ask you about what we learned about this team this year. And we've got 2-3 minutes here, so we've got some time. Jimmy, you mentioned something in breaks.
They need to be more disciplined. They led the league in penalties. They're among the most penalized team in the country. They have a lot of pre-snap penalties. Some of that may be related to a hurry-up offense. I would love to see how many pre-snap penalties Iowa gets. I bet they haven't had a legal procedure in 5 years.
Yeah.
But Tennessee, I think with that hurry-up offense, that lends itself to more penalties.
Yeah, and we talked about that when he first came in. We went and looked and showed you at UCF he's going to have a lot of penalties. This year it seemed more costly. Maybe that's because the offense wasn't as good. Maybe that's because the penalties hurt the offense and kept it from being as good. Any other things that we learned, anyone? Bob, I know you've been learning the same thing all year. You said it earlier.
About the Tennessee's, can I turn and look? Because, the way things, okay.
Yeah. It's one big wide shot.
Tennessee's offense, I thought, was just players don't matter as much as the system matters. I've totally changed on that. Yeah, you've got to have good enough players to run the system at a high level, or it just looks like it did this year, which was up and down and all over the place.
Or you may just need one or two stars at certain spots. It may, but I don't know that you can have as many question marks across the field as you had this year.
You have to be consistent. Maybe not great, but you've got to have consistency.
Any other thing we learned this year?
I think we figured out how special the quarterback Hendon Hooker really was. You think about Josh Dobbs, and he was kind of overlooked as well, and then he left, and you're like, he's a really good quarterback. And I think we saw the same thing about Hendon Hooker this year when we heard so much about Joe Milton. And he may get drafted in the NFL, but I don't think he is set to run this type of system.
I think it's still, we're learning that you need the Jimmies and Joes, right? The depth there, especially when you see through a season like this with injuries at certain spots in the secondary and offensive line. Hey, to win in the SEC and to be a consistent winner in the SEC, you got to have the people back there to play and step up and be ready to play at a high level. And we're still, not there as a program.
Playing off what Bob talked about, I went back and looked at some numbers this week. There's a lot of people who think, well, Milton didn't fit this offense because he doesn't run enough. And yes, I would argue that running quarterback makes every offense better. In this day and age, that's just taken over the game. But if you go back and look at Josh Heupel's career, Drew Lock didn't run the ball at all. He threw 44 touchdown passes, and Missouri was top 10 in offense. Bryce Petty, if you go back to the old Art Briles system, was not a runner. Threw it all over the yard. I think what you need, and look, do you want a runner? Sure. I hope Nico's runs it all over the place. But I think what you need is processing speed. I think to me, you need a guy who drops back and quickly reads it and makes that decision and doesn't hesitate. And I think that's part of the issue with Milton. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here today. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next week right back here on the Sports Source. Have a very good week, and thanks to our sponsors. Go see them as well. See you next week. Thanks for a good football season.